Hey guys, what's going on? This is Jeff. Today we're going to talk about smaller towns. It comes from a question Krista Miller asked. What are the smaller towns like? Outside of Kona and Hilo, are the houses, gas prices, etc. a little cheaper or is it about the same all around the island? So she's talking about the Big Island in this case. So smaller towns I guess would be like Honoka'a, Hawaii, Pahoa, Ocean View, maybe Captain Cook, I guess Waikoloa, you know, Waimea, some of those smaller towns, Lapahoehoe, Papaaloa, Onamea, so you got those towns in that area, and I found that the smaller the town, well, okay, that's kind of like that question is a little bit different. I found that food prices are pretty high in smaller towns, and I think that has to do with getting it there. Um, so getting the food to Hawaii, I guess maybe would be why Hawaii prices seem to be higher at like the convenience store in Hawaii. That's just my general feeling. Whether I have confirmed that to be a fact, I don't have a confirmation that it's more expensive or not in smaller towns like maybe Punaluu or something like this. But I felt as though the smaller towns were more expensive. As far as living in smaller towns, you can get cheaper homes in like Mountain View, in the Pahoa area, Hawaiian beaches. A place like Waimea, though, is more expensive. So it depends on the geography as far as whether it's going to be cheaper or more expensive. To expand on that outside to other islands, small town living in other islands, I would say just here in Maui, because I lived in Big Island, for those of you who don't know, I lived there for 2 years and I lived in three different places. I lived on the Hilo side, I lived on the Hamakua coast, and I lived in Kona, and well, Puna also. But here in Maui, now that I live here in, Kihei, I would say that Kihei is a big town, Wailuku is a big town, Lahaina is a big town, and then the small towns would be like Paia, Hana, Makawao, places like that. I would say, commodities, as far as commodity prices go, Maui's about the same as the Big Island. As far as housing prices go for the small towns, it's more expensive here in Maui. And I'm looking this way because I'm looking out my window at the town and the vibrance of the sky and the community. But overall, small towns, there's a lot of times where I do miss the small town environment of like Hamakua in the Honoka'a area because of the traffic. The prices, it just depends on modern amenities, how important they are. Like you won't get as much traffic in Hana, and I think the small towns, they really truly do not appreciate people who speed or drive carelessly. I cannot stress this or emphasize this enough. When you come to visit Hawaii, or if you choose to move here for whatever reason, please, for the sake of the island community, do not be that person who drives, just speeds and just takes your whatever your car is that has a loud engine and try to just wake everyone up. That is like the number one pet peeve I think that really stands out to the locals, is people who drive in small towns like just very rude and loud and aggressive, and it's not looked upon very strongly here in Hawaii. And I think that's what, a lot of the locals, they're sometimes their only interactions with people who are considered haole or foreign to this place is on the road. So that's where you're really leaving your impression. I mean, is on the road. And the number one thing that I hear about people is, oh, people from the mainland, the way they drive. I say number one because yeah, that's what I hear the most, you know. And I've seen it. I mean, I drive a motor scooter around, or even when I'm in my car, it's those people from the mainland that just they make it tough for guys like me and you because of the way they drive. So I'm stressing this with you guys. When you're coming to Hawaii, get off that whole driving like you got a hot shot around, man. It's for real. I'm drilling this home with you guys because it's causing issues. Driving, the way that people drive. It's not important to drive 15 miles over the speed limit anywhere in Hawaii. Don't be that person. Don't be that person that's got to, that needs to speed, that needs to hurry up to get to a stoplight. Like, you don't need to be like hot-shotting like that. There's people around here, they like to walk. And when you're speeding and driving like crazy, and especially in these small towns, it just creates more tenseness in the air and more stress. And that's what leads people to say, people from the mainland. It's because of the stress that they're bringing, especially with their automobiles. So, you should be able to walk around Hawaii without, having to worry about people driving like maniacs and, driving all crazy. Like they say, like the locals, like the Aloha for driving your car is like, you come to a stoplight at the same time, you offer to let the other person go. You see a pedestrian walking, they have the right of way. That means don't be like, well, if I hurry up and speed, I don't have to wait for this person to cross the road. Don't be that person. And so I'm drilling this home with the small town stuff because I think that's the number one thing that I need to get out to you guys is when you come to these small towns, calm down a lot with your driving. Yeah. All right, vent over. But I'm drilling that home with you guys so you guys are conscious of it because I think a lot of people might hear it, but they don't fully recognize it. And then they get in their cars and then they do that. They don't drive with Aloha. So I'm not saying drive like, I'm saying just don't speed. Don't make a ruckus. Many cars go by every day without causing a ruckus. It's like, when you're within 100 yards to a traffic stop or a traffic light, just slow down. Don't accelerate to get there really fast to stop, because that's the kind of stuff that creates more stress on the community. It's just that simple thing right there. Outside of that, small towns, people are also commenting on my comments about food. I've made comments about my impression of the food, and they're saying, well, what about the organic? Like, isn't there an organic culture that lives there, or that exists? And yeah, it does, but it's top dollar. It's not like people are just growing food in their backyard and then giving it away for 59 cents and 99 cents. They're selling it, sometimes $3, $4 a mango for a papaya. That's sure, if you got big money, eat organic all day long. But that's just the way it is in these small towns, and you can't really blame them because some of them, they pay top dollar for that piece of property, and they're just trying to make their money back on that property, knowing that the demand for high quality produce is here, because otherwise the produce is coming from Taiwan or California on a boat. It's not fresh. So that's my answer to that. That's why most of the time these restaurants and stuff, they're not using locally grown produce. They're importing it from Taiwan. So outside of that, small towns, I hope this answers some of those questions about the prices, gas prices. It just seems like smaller towns are more expensive for commodities, but cheaper for rent and cheaper for buying lots. But then again, it also comes down to property, because a small town up in like Kauai and Kohala has super high pricing for lots. Kohala is like the second best place to live in all of Hawaii, and buying land there, good luck. It's not like Mountain View. It's funny because Kohala is like arid, it's desert, it's like dry, like the only thing that grows there is bushes because it gets so much sunlight. But it's got the view that's, you know, amazing. You see all the whales out there during whale season, and it's got the sunset view and all that, plus a lot of sunshine. Whereas Mountain View's the forest. Anything will grow there, but it's the cheapest land. You know, that and Ocean View. So, those are some variables and some things to think about with small town living. I know a lot of you guys are drawn to the Big Island because you see the affordability of those properties. So, yeah, even if you're getting an Airbnb, that's probably your best start. Is before you even move to a smaller town like that, go spend a week in an Airbnb or a bed and breakfast in that particular town and see what it's like for a couple days. You know, spend a couple nights there. Get a feel for that before you go out and buy it. You know, really indulge yourself in the property because yeah, sure, there's going to be the initial honeymoon period that you're going to have where you're going to be like, wow, I'm in Hawaii, I'm in a jungle. You're going to be there for 2 or 3 days. You're going to still be in like a state of nostalgia. But after like 4, 5, 6 days, you know, you start to get a feel for if you're going to get bored, if you're going to get used to the climate and all these other factors that may play in, such as prices of the food. Like I said, in Maui, I mean, even in Oahu and Kauai, you know, you have small town environment in Kauai. Seem like locally grown produce in Honolulu and that area is pretty good. Hilo's got locally grown produce. North Shore Oahu's got locally grown produce at, you know, some of the farmers markets. So, I mean, just check out the farmers markets. Kona's got one, but even the farmers market in Kona that I became very familiar with, I thought it was a lot of locally grown stuff. Come to find out, I was looking in the boxes that I was pulling the produce out of, and it said shipped from Taiwan. This whole time I thought I was buying locally grown produce, but it turns out it was shipped from Taiwan. So that's that. Yeah, just if you're driving, just please be respectful. I know I drilled that home with you guys pretty hard, and I wanted to do that because I sense that that's the big thing that's really they can be fixed, easy fix, that can resolve some problems that are caused between some tensions between locals and mainlanders is the driving. So I'm drilling that home because I'm looking to more or less kind of squash some of this tension that exists just by the driving that I think is an easy fix. So drive with Aloha. It's as easy as that. I mean, if you don't know what Aloha is, it's basically gratitude, it's peace, it's harmony, it's all that. That's it. That's Aloha. Drive in harmony with the surroundings, and the surroundings are not fast paced. Like this is not the Indy 500 over here. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you like. Thank you.